Hi guys, and welcome back to my channel, or if you're new here, welcome. My name is Heather, and on this channel we like to walk a very fine line between a shopping addicted makeup monster and a responsible adult with a makeup hobby. Now, I really enjoy eyeshadow singles, duochromes, multichromes, blush, highlight, lip gloss, basically everything except pressed glitters, and today we're going to be doing the February palette ranking. So if that sounds like something you're interested in, stick with me, we're getting into it right now. Oh, this month was crazy. I feel like it zipped by so fast. I was trying out a handful of different new palettes, and I did pull in a couple of like oldie but goodies. So I'll show you those real quick, and I tried out a new Super Shock shadow, so I'll mention that here quick as well. So these, kind of housekeeping things. This is the Fringe Colourpop Super Shock, and it came in the Sage the Day collection. It's like a almost olivey green undertone of a champagne with like silver sparkles in it, and it's super pretty, but it is kind of soft, so I feel like it could have been punched up a little bit more than what it was, so it's kind of a disappointing, but the actual color itself is quite pretty. I did also dip into these two palettes once or twice this month. It's the Clarity Cobra palette and the Ace Beauté Tropical Vibes. So there's Tropical Vibes. And then here is Clarity Cobra, and it felt silly to kind of rank them since I only did one look with them, but I did want to just mention that I had pulled those into looks since I'm trying to work on including my old palettes a little bit more. And I did include or do a look with the Scooby-Doo palette. This is like one of my favorite palettes from last year, and it was like one of my favorite looks that I did for the entire month. So I was super thrilled to pull this one back out. Everything else we're going to talk about though is new to me for this month. So in last place, which, let's see, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11. We're out of 11. So this is number 11 is the Glamlight Berrylicious palette. Now, I think this is a really cute palette. The part that I struggle with is the similarity of some of the tones, and this is part of why I didn't order this when it first came out, but then when it was on sale for like 40% off, I went ahead and picked it up. But like this red and this red are basically the same color. This pink and this pink are basically the same color. This red is definitely a little bit different from the other two, and these two greens like are different enough that I think it's okay, but you just like, it's just brightness. There's no like soft shade to kind of blend everything out into your skin. There's not a deep shade to really like deepen everything up and give you more like smoke. And I get that they were trying to like mimic this strawberry shortcake like show or whatever, but for how I do my makeup, it's not like a palette that I can use by itself. So the looks that I did with this month were my least favorite looks, so that's why this is going all the way to number 11. Coming in at number 10 is the Urban Decay and Robin Eisenberg palette. I picked this up from TJ Maxx, and actually I think I forgot to mention it in my haul, but it is what it is. I already filmed that video. But this palette looks like this, and I picked it up because I really liked these 4 shades, and at TJ Maxx this was on sale for like $24, so I was like, okay, for $24 I'm willing to try it. I did also, once I opened it, find these 3 shades to be very pretty. And I did a look actually combining the blues with these kind of soft peachy shades, and I thought it was really nice. Now, I did have to punch up the metallics a little bit with some of my singles from my indie collection, because the metallic formula from Urban Decay is nice, but it's not like phenomenal, and what I want is phenomenal at all times. So I did go ahead and punch it up a little bit, but the packaging is super cool. Like the actual palette colors, I think they did a good job picking out, even though I don't know that I necessarily needed these like clay burgundy shades in the middle. I like everything else in the palette, so it comes in at number 10. 9, 8, 7, and 6 are going to go to these palettes here, which are from Rude Cosmetics, and let me just get them all facing the right way. But this is this like quad of like anime style palettes that I picked out. Number 9 would be this one, which is the Adventures of Rudico, and I think not only is the packaging really pretty, but the actual like inserts for the packaging I think are pretty. She's not nude, just in case you were wondering. But this is the color story for this one. This is the only one that has a pressed glitter. This right here is a pressed glitter. Everything else in there though is either mattes or metallics, and I do really like the colors. I think they have like a nice color story selection here. I even like these kind of taupey browns. What I find challenging is that if you use your finger for these metallics, they get a little bit of hard pan. So you have to go in and use them with like a dense, dry brush, and then put on like a glitter glue or use like a setting spray to really make them pop to their fullest potential. So they take a little bit of work compared to some of my other brands that don't require that much work. So that was number 9. This is number 8, which is First Love Diary. Again, super cool little design there. And this one actually reminds me a lot of the Kaleidos, gosh, what was that palette called? Escape Pod. This reminds me a lot of the Escape Pod palette, although you don't have the redundant orange in there the way that they did. But I do think it's really pretty. Again, the metallics, they're kind of a soft, like soft in terms of impact quality formula, but I do think in general the quality is nice. It's just kind of a soft formula that you need to really build up intentionally. So that's why some of these fell lower. Then as we increase here, we get to the color stories that I liked even better. This one is the, what is this, Attitude Academia, and this was one of the ones I was the most excited for because I love these like swampy greens mixed with like the cool tone blue purple shades. I thought that was such a cool combination, and I really liked putting these colors together. This Senpai shade is so pretty on the eyes. I did a really soft, like almost watercolor wash of color with that on my lids the one day for work, and it looked beautiful. I really enjoyed that. And then the last one is the Cat Girl Chronicles. I don't know why she's dressed up like a weird maid, but whatever. So that's what this one looks like, and I love that this one is more cool toned. It's definitely, you know, darker. It has a lot of depth that I think some of the other ones, you know, don't quite have, especially with this sparkly black in here. This Kira shade is so pretty on the lids. So out of the 4, it definitely rose up to be the highest for me. Next up is the Nomad. This is coming in at number 5. This is the Nomad, what are you, Verona Amor y Muerte palette, and this is actually the second one that I was given. The first one, some of the shades were pressed a little hard, so I had requested a new palette and was sent this one, and I've been working on, you know, trying it out and using it to its fullest extent. So I want to get a little bit more use out of this palette because I feel like there is much more that I could do with this palette, but because I was having issues with it the first time around, I haven't been as inclined to go back into it, and I think that's why it fell a little bit in the rankings. Coming in at number 4 is the Beauty Bay Dark Fantasy palette, and this was their, I believe, holiday palette for this past year. I think this is a really pretty color story. My only trouble is it's a bit disjointed, right? Because you've got this handful of neutrals, you've got a handful of greens, you've got a sparkly black and a matte black, then you've got these random purples and blues, some more neutrals. We're kind of all over the place, and I feel like after 1 or 2 colors, you're kind of stuck unless you pull something else in. So I wish they would have kind of gotten rid of the neutrals and leaned a little bit more into green, blue, purple and just left it at that rather than trying to stack these neutrals in on top of it. But overall, still a nice quality palette. I did enjoy the looks that I did. Oh my goodness. Alright, coming in at number 3 is the Shroud and Moonfall collection or palette. So I originally bought the mattes and shimmers for Moonfall, but when they said that they had reformulated them, I was really excited to get them, so I went ahead and just reordered this palette as a complete palette. I do really like this palette. The only thing is, because all of the mattes are super deep, I kind of get stuck. You can put any of these together with Rebirth, right? But then these two maybe kind of you can put together, these two maybe kind of you can put together, but it's all really dark and I don't feel like there's anything light, which is totally fine. But I think this then dropped to number 3 for me because it acts more as a companion palette for things that lack depth for me, which I'm totally fine with. But as a independent, by itself standalone palette, it's just not quite enough for me. Coming in at number 2, this is that palette makeup just for fun, like totally ate it on, and I was like, I still want to try it, so I did. And it's the Colourpop Fresh Greens. This is one of the Target collection palettes that they put out, and it looks like this. So I was really drawn to these like kind of swampy greens, and then these two greens with like that kind of silvery take to them I thought were so pretty, so I went ahead and picked this one up. I liked every look I put together with this palette. I liked that it was like olivey, kind of swampy, without being like super electric neon swampy chartreuse kind of colors, and also it didn't pool just straight green on the lids. So I thought this was a really pretty palette. I even used this shade to kind of blend out some of the other shades. I think the whole thing went together really, really nicely. So it came up to number 2. And then number 1, you guys should probably just know this. If there's a Blend Bunny palette that's anywhere in my ranking, it's probably going to be at the top. And that is no difference for the Lure palette, which looks like this. This was the palette that I had the absolute most fun playing with this month. All of the shimmers are so pretty. I even love these kind of cool tone neutrals. I love that this is like kind of a soft multi-chrome, so it really like kind of pulls in the softness, especially of this shade here. The only metallic I'm not a huge fan of is this one, because I don't feel it's pink enough to go with everything else here. I wish they would have leaned a little bit more like fuchsia to make that metallic shade, but everything else I loved in this palette. Alright, and that is everything for this month's palette ranking. I want to thank you guys so much for watching. Don't forget to like and subscribe before you go, and I'll catch you in my next video. Bye!